Hello and welcome to Jesus for Asia Now. I'm Natalie Wood, and today my husband John and I want to share with you some places that really hit home to our hearts. Hello, love.
Hi, darling.
You know, this is kind of a serious show.
Very serious.
It's a little bit unusual. We're going to be talking about the persecuted church today.
Right.
And we do have, want to tell our viewers, we do have some graphic stories toward the end.
We'll warn them
right
before they come up. So.
Right. There's no graphic video.
No.
It's just the stories.
Yes.
And, you know, when we think about the persecuted church,
Yeah.
we think that that's like a long way off. We don't know a persecuted person, most of us. We
Right.
kind of live in a protected bubble.
Yep.
And yet it's very real.
Yes.
Their lives are impacted today by
Yes.
persecution
Yes.
in many areas of the world.
Yeah. More Christians have been martyred this last year than any other year in human history.
Wow.
So there's a lot of persecution going on around the world, just
Right.
not here where we live. This is like you said, a bubble.
Right.
But sometimes we get a chance to step outside that bubble and meet people that have gone through persecution.
Right.
Many friends that I have and myself growing up, we were so afraid of persecution. I remember lying in bed not able to sleep because I was afraid of, being persecuted, of going through torture and the pain and all that suffering and everything. And it used to freak me out. And meeting people that have gone through some of that or reading about their stories, I think is very healthy.
You know, one thing that we've heard from many stories of persecuted people is that their faith grows under persecution. Their
Yes.
connection with God grows under persecution because they really don't have anybody else they can depend on.
And that's what we're going to go to today. We're going to go to a place today that has suffered persecution and is continually under the knife, so to speak.
Right. They don't know what's going to happen tomorrow.
Right. Currently, there's no persecution, but there's that undercurrent, that edge that you really don't know.
Right. So where are we going?
We are going to the state of Odisha in India.
Okay.
Used to be called Orissa, but recently they changed the name to Odisha.
Okay. So we have a map, and
Yep.
the map is labeled Orissa, but it's
Yep.
really Odisha.
Correct.
Okay.
So this is about halfway up the eastern coast of India, the
Okay.
state of Orissa. And we flew in there to the capital city, and then the president met us with a vehicle, and we drove down to the southern part where the headquarters of the Adventist church work in that area is.
Okay.
So here we are driving down through town. This is after dark, as you can tell, and the roads are actually quite clean and organized from what we're used to.
Right. It's a little bit different.
Yeah. The next morning we went to the Seventh Adventist headquarters for the area, and you can see it's a walled compound with some nice buildings, but there's one part of that building that is not completed. They started this about 7 or 8 years ago, but they haven't been able to finish it because they ran out of funds.
Okay.
And while we were there, we had a meeting to encourage our Bible workers, and then interviewed some of our Bible workers for their stories.
Okay. And this is one of the Bible worker stories.
Yeah.
ମୁଁ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗାଁରେ କାମ କରିବାକୁ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କଲି
He talks about his small miracle that happened in his life. Before you are not even able to speak. You are a stammering tongue. But when he decided he wanted to do the work of God, and when he began to pray, the Lord opened his mouth, and now he's able to speak. And then the Lord is helping him to communicate to people his belief and thought right now.
Isn't that amazing testimony?
That is, you know, God enables people.
Absolutely.
Really. And the way God overcomes speech impediments
Yeah.
and teaches people to read, and so they can give the gospel clearly is
Yeah.
so awesome.
Reminds me of when God told Moses, "Who formed your mouth?"
That's true.
God can do anything.
That's true.
By
Very
the way,
true.
that building that was unfinished,
Right.
the cost of of finishing that, only $8,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
not very much
this
for
is-
us,
No.
but it's a lot for them.
Yeah. So it shows you the poverty of this section also.
Right.
So the next day we traveled down to the very south of Odisha.
Okay.
Countryside is flat, and as we're driving along, it's very warm. It's got a lot of plains with some mountains sticking up, and you can see there's wildlife, goats, and And then as we were driving along, we came up on this little building. So this looks like a pretty small building.
Right.
But let me tell you what's actually inside this building.
Okay.
Okay. On the far left, that first door on the left, is an entire classroom. And we're going to
Okay.
go into it in a few minutes.
Okay.
The second door is another entire classroom.
Okay.
Okay. And then the third door is a little storage room. The fourth door is where an entire family lives.
Wow.
And then the fifth door is where another entire family lives.
Oh my.
And then the sixth door is where one of our Bible workers lives.
Wow. So half of the school is housing for people.
Right.
And wow.
Yeah, because housing is a real challenge when you're living on such a small income.
Right.
And so the president of this mission is trying to find ways to build this school up into a more substantial school. He'd like
Oh.
dormitories,
Yeah.
he'd like larger classrooms, things like that. And he'd like to fence it because right behind that building is the train track.
Oh, that would be good to fence it, protect the children.
Yeah. Now this is the bathroom for that whole block.
And one side has no door?
One side is not being used.
Oh, okay.
So they got that one bathroom for the whole.
For everybody, when
Yes.
school is there, and for the families, and
Yes.
wow,
Yeah. So here's inside. I love this shot.
that's so cute.
She would look up at me and then just keep writing and writing and writing. Look up at me and keep writing and writing and writing.
Precious.
Just sweet little kids. And here's a little video that kind of gives you the feel for the area and how they study.
Okay.
So it's a beautiful little school. It's very small, but they have hopes that it will grow because there's quite a number of communities in the surrounding area that could come and send their children to this little school.
Wow.
Yeah,
Well, that's definitely something to pray for.
absolutely. Now we move on to some churches.
Okay.
So a big typhoon came through and damaged or almost destroyed a lot of churches.
Wow.
This is one of them where the top is completely blown off.
Wow.
Here's another one where half the roof is blown off. Now we're driving into town and we're walking up to another church where the front portico has been damaged. You can see the back half of the roof has been torn off by these terrible typhoons. They still worship in there, but when it rains, they have to come to the back half of the church.
Use where there's still a roof.
Right. And then
Wow.
that same day we drove up into the state, up into the mountains, and driving along the way, it's just some beautiful scenery. And then we arrive at that church. That green building in the background on the right is our Adventist church.
Okay.
Inside, you can see the decorations from when the church was going, but there's a big hole in the roof. These churches have been sitting like this for a long time. Then the next day, we drove up to the area that suffered persecution.
Okay.
Okay, so the story goes like this. Back in 2008, there was a Hindu leader that was murdered, and a local political group took responsibility or claimed that as their action, but it was blamed on the Christians instead.
Oh.
And so there was massive rioting throughout Orissa, and over 5,000 Christians were killed.
Wow.
I really wanted to go and meet these church members because in this area, we had 4 Seventh-day Adventist believers lose their lives. The Hindus would come along and say, will you convert to Hinduism? And if they said yes, they would be allowed to go. If they said no, they would be killed. That was many of the Christians. And we have some testimonies from people that survived. And they tell us what it was like and what happened and what took place during that time.
Okay.
ମୋ ନାଁ ହେଉଛି ବିୟୁଟି ନାୟକ ଆଉ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଦଙ୍ଗା ହେଲା
She's telling about little bit detail of the riots. Her name is Beauty. She has 2 children, 1 son, 1 daughter. That time her son was just 4 years old and daughter was just 1 year old, and she was living with her father-in-law, mother-in-law. Her husband was working in a different state.
ମୋ ବୁଢ଼ା ବାପା ବୁଢ଼ା ମା ତାଙ୍କେ ଥିଲେ
The previous night what happened was, there is a place called Mondakia. These rioters, they came, they broke some churches and they began to break the houses, but there was no physical attack. That's what the rumor they got, that they're not going to harm you, but they may break some churches. That's what they thought previous night. But the next day, it turned out to be very serious.
The
whole group began to come from the side. They entered this campus. The church they set into fire. By seeing all this, he, his children, grandchildren, all of them, they ran out to the jungle. They stayed there 2-3 days. On the 3rd day, they went to nearby town Raikia, where they had established a camp. There they went and stayed. The miracle is none of his children were beaten, or none of his grandchildren were affected. In the sense, there are no physical harm as such. Like he felt the presence of God, and with the same thought that the Lord is going to be with them, they went up to the jungle. As the prophet Jeremiah stayed in the jungles and the forest, they also said, whatever the Lord does, we'll trust in him.
ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ସକାଳ ସମୟ ହେଲା ଲୋକମାନେ ନିଜ ନିଜ ଘରେ ରହିଥାନ୍ତି ସେହି ସମୟରେ
Next day morning, when the day started, she began to hear on the upper side of the street people crying and beating and all these things, houses are burning, people running here, there. So they had a small corn farm. She, her children, all of them hid. But one young man came and told, Didi, Akka, don't stay here. They are attacking people, they are going to kill people also. At that moment, the pastor who died, his house also was just in front of their house. They tried to take refuge there, but when they saw that man being attacked, from there they ran. And there's a river over here. When they tried to cross the river, she, her son, her mother-in-law and her baby, when they tried to cross, the water was almost swept her mother-in-law. But there was one young boy who came to save the mother-in-law. So after crossing, somehow both of them, from that side, they came this side, hiding through this jungle. This way straight away, they came to this mountain, they hid here.
ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ସେଠିକୁ ଆସିଲା ପରେ ଦେଖୁଛୁ ବହୁତ ଲୋକମାନେ ଜଙ୍ଗଲରେ ଭର୍ତ୍ତି ହେଇଛନ୍ତି ଆଉ ସେହି ସମୟରେ ମୋବାଇଲ
When they went to the jungle, and they all gathered, they saw so many people in the jungle hiding there and sitting under a tree. She also joined all of them, and one lady came, non-believer, non-Christian. She came and told them, you don't go to village. They've already killed the pastor and his mother. If you go to the village, you won't be safe. The man who was a non-believer, who lives in the jungle, he came in search of them, took them to their house, kept them in the room and told them, I'm going to stay outside the veranda, you sleep inside. Anyone who is going to come and kill you, first they will kill me, then they will come and kill you. That's why that a non-believer began to stand for God's people. 7-8 families, they stayed in the same house, they in the same room. They stayed there for 2 days in the non-believer's home in the middle of the jungle. After that, they all went to the refugee camp. So by God's grace, her son, her daughter, mother-in-law, father-in-law, no one were harmed. We were hungry for 2 days, but the Lord gave us strength even in those crucial days. Even though we stayed in the jungle for 2 days, no harm by any kind of creatures, no snake, no scorpion, nothing was able to trouble us. The Lord was there and gracious to us. We want to thank God for that. God has kept us for His glory, even though we had to go through certain kind of these hard situations.
I found it amazing how, even though they went through the difficult times, they weren't complaining.
Right.
They were thankful how God took care of them.
Right. And they saw that only God could have done that.
Yeah.
And that's just, yeah.
So their faith ended up being strengthened.
Mm-hmm.
But the two people that they talked about dying, the pastor and his mother, that's in the next video.
So if you're sensitive to graphic descriptions of what happened, you will want to turn your audio off for the next about 3 minutes. Let's play the video now.
ସେ ବିଷୟ 2008ରେ ଅକ୍ଟୋବର ମାସରେ ହେଇଥିଲା ଦଙ୍ଗା କେମିତି ହେଲା ସେଟା
It started in the month of August. When it started, the first thing what those rioters did was to attack a Roman Catholic church. They got into the church, got over the church, and they rang the bell. When all the people began to come to the church, they started attacking. By seeing this, the members ran to the forest. With practically nothing in their hand, not only they try to beat them and kill them, and they with swords, with axe, with gun, whatever they had, those rioters came and tried to attack the people. Not only attacking, and they also began to ransack the homes, began to steal anything they found in the home, break everything. When these things are happening, our members and others, they began to go to the jungles, and in the jungle they stayed for a long time. So it took almost 8 days for the government to start a refugee camp in the nearby town called Raikia in the high school campus.
ସାମୁଏଲ ପାଷ୍ଟର ଜଣେ ଆମର ସେଭେନ୍ଥ ଡିମାଷ୍ଟ୍ରେସ୍ ଥିଲା ତାକୁ ତୋ ପରା ପରମେଶ୍ୱରଙ୍କର ବାକ୍ୟ କହୁଛୁ.
Of course, he's talking about one of our Bible worker or pastor. When they saw him, this man was kneeling and praying. They hit him in the mouth with axe, telling that you are the one who is preaching the word of God. And
ପେଟରେ ଛୁରାରେ ଭୁଷି ଦେଲେ.
and after that, after hitting him, they pierced him with sword. And ତାଙ୍କୁ ଗାଁରେ ଛାଡ଼ିଲେ ନା?
ଗାଁରେ ଛାଡ଼ିକି ସେମାନେ ପଳେଇଲେ. ଆଉ ତାଙ୍କ ମାମି ତାଙ୍କ ପାଷ୍ଟରଙ୍କ ମାମି ଗୋଟେ ଗୁହାଳ ଘରେ ଥିଲା ତାକୁ ଟେକିକି ଜଳନ୍ତା ନିଆଁରେ ପକାଇଦେଲେ. ଇଏ ତାଙ୍କ ମା ବୋଲି.
By seeing when they're killing her son, the pastor's mother, by killing her son, this lady went and hid in a cow shed. Knowing that she is hiding in a cow shed, she is almost 80 years old lady. Knowing that she is in a cow shed, they brought her out forcefully and they burnt her alive.
You can see that he lived through it.
Yeah.
He's remembering it, not just talking about it, but he's remembering it because he's weeping before he really starts the story.
Yeah. The church that they were sitting in the doorframe of, the roof was off. That wasn't from the typhoon. That was from the rioters back in 2008. And it hasn't been rebuilt.
So it's still sitting like that.
Still sitting like that.
A testament to the riots.
Yeah. And these kids are growing up in that church with this memory. And one of the most urgent things that they did is, please, can you help us with the schooling for our children? Please. And I was like, oh, yeah. And they're like, oh, please. They were insistent. They were really wanting an Adventist education for their kids.
Wow. So there's no Adventist school anywhere near this place?
No.
Oh, boy.
No. So
Okay.
my dream is to take that church that had been broken up with the missing roof, rebuild it, and start a school there.
Okay.
So we have the teachers. We just need the place.
Right.
So this next little video has scenes from the town that they hid in. Remember Raikia?
Okay.
Okay. There's a worshiping group there, a house church.
Okay.
And then also some more scenes from the church that that we, the area that we just had the interviews at. And just to get a feel for the area and the people, their normal people.
Your daily life.
kind of thing. So we'll play that now.
They live simple lives.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very poor, obviously, because the little boy's playing with the inner tube and a stick, and their clothing is hanging on the fence there to dry, and
Yeah.
just very simple lives.
But very nice people, normal people.
Yeah.
People that you could meet in America, different clothes, different setting, you would have no idea. They just happen to be there. This little church, this is the house church in Raikia.
Okay.
And we met there. It was like in the middle of the day. People were, at
Busy
work.
at work.
Yeah. So, but a few people got together and they fed us some of the best food. That food was cooked in this kitchen, sitting
Very
on the floor
small
like that.
kitchen,
Very small.
no counters,
Yeah.
all the work on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very normal in India,
Yep.
but we're not used to seeing it.
No.
And we don't work that way.
No. That's one of the reasons why it only costs $90 a month to sponsor a full-time Bible worker.
Right, because they live simply.
They
very
live
simply.
But they blend with the community.
That's true.
For me as a missionary to go there and blend with the community like that, I would have huge hurdles in my own emotions to live like that, plus the language, plus the culture, plus the skin color. So that's why the Bible worker is so powerful and effective. Now this last place that we're going is the place that really hit my heart the hardest, because it's a church. And this was damaged extensively in 2008. And this is sitting in a community. We still have believers there, but as far as I know, they don't meet for worship. But when we came, they insisted that I come and pray in their house. And we were short of time, we had to keep going, but they were just so insistent that I finally went and prayed. And the one guy, I went into his house, it was so poor, I couldn't even take video. So I have no pictures or video from that place. But it just really struck me. Can you imagine being in a small community with your church in a state of
Destruction.
The roof is missing and the windows are broken out and all this stuff, and have to walk by that every single day, knowing your neighbors see it every single day, and here, over a decade later, you still have this standing monument to the power of the rioters.
Right. Right. The power of evil.
Yeah, where's your God?
Right. And exactly, that's part of the point, because we've had people tell us in India that they ridicule the Christians for having house churches because your God is not strong enough or good enough or whatever, powerful enough to provide you a place to worship. And look at the Hindu temples, they're so nice, whatever.
Yeah.
But the Christians, if they have a house church or if they worship under a tree,
Yep.
I can't imagine what these people have heard from their neighbors.
Oh man.
I mean, it's heartbreaking.
You can tell the
heartbreaking.
the membership there is under oppression. It wouldn't take much to completely repair that church and take the stain off of God's name.
Right.
And restore that community of believers, have a revival there. I don't know how receptive the local village is. We have a Bible worker near there, and he says that it may be about the right time to start to rebuild the work in that area. So this is my deepest prayer. Here's a little video from that day. We are standing in a village that about 10 years ago suffered a lot of violence. This is a mainly Christian area. We have an Adventist church right here. In 2008, 4 of our members, including one pastor, was killed. and this church was destroyed. We are now praying for God to do a miracle. The people around here are wanting to have a church back. They're still believing in God. They're desperately asking for prayer, even as we visit here. Please come and pray for my family, pray for my invalid mother, pray for my daughter. All these things are happening here. There's an urgency that something needs to be done. There's an opportunity, many opportunities here, big opportunity to glorify God's name in this little village. So please pray about this little village in Orissa. May not mean a lot in the world scale, but in heaven's scale, one soul is worth more than the entire world.
You know, there's a lot of sadness there.
Yes.
There's a lot of opportunity to be downcast based on the history.
Mm-hmm.
But when we look at the opportunities there are here, there's opportunity for God to be glorified.
Yes.
There's opportunity for the church worldwide to show their love for that small community of believers.
Yes.
It's
a great opportunity.
Yeah. If you'd like to get in touch with us, you can contact us at Jesus for Asia, P.O. Box 1221, Collegedale, Tennessee 37315. Call us at 423-413-7321 or visit our website at jesusforasia.org. May God richly bless you as you pray for Odisha, for the believers there, and for God's name to be glorified in a powerful way. We'll see you next time on Jesus for Asia Now.